So my name is Clayton Gits. I'm going to be with you for the next 45, 50 minutes or so. And, one of the things as I was preparing for this, I don't do this just to do it. I do it in hopes that somebody in this room is going to take something away that will have an impact on your life and therefore have an impact on somebody else's life. So what I'm going to share with you this morning is there are 5 tips, strategies, tactics that have had the biggest impact on my life, on my wife's life, on my business partners' lives, on my children. 30 agents and staff in Richmond, Virginia. I'm 19 years in the business. I'll be 50 on January 6th. Can you give it up for 5-0? Who's 5-0? Yeah, come on, I see you. Yeah, 50 or greater. Yeah, thank you. I'm crossing over, man. It's good to be here. So 19 years in the business. I've got the real estate company that is kind of the hub of the business, and we have vertically integrated around that. So we have, of course, title relationships now because of our volume, mortgage relationships because of our volume. We're launching an insurance relationship in 2025. I have a property management company. We have an investing company as well, and all of them play really well with the real estate company. So this right here, I have an alarm. Anybody know who Jim Rohn is? I'm like an old school Jim Rohn personal development guy. So Jim, one of his entire presentations is on this right here, and it's the topic of our presentation today. It's one thing to get it, it's a whole nother thing to deserve it. So my alarm goes off every single morning, and it's Jim Rohn saying, it drives my wife crazy because it's every morning at 5:30, it's Jim saying the key is to deserve it. And it's my reminder that all of the things that we're doing personally and professionally, that I just want to make sure that I deserve the things that are coming my way, that God has given me, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. The key is to deserve it. So, Zach, I might need you to work with me here. So one of the things that I've thought a lot about is my wife likes to say this: have a why that makes you emotional. Have a why that makes you cry. We've all heard about the importance of having a reason for getting out of bed every day. So I believe the 2 most important days in our lives are the day that we were born and the day that we actually find out why. If you can align yourself with the actual reason for your existence, and it's unique to, I believe, it's unique to each and every one of us, that you become unstoppable. And so, but I think that most of us, maybe not anybody in this room, but everybody else goes through life not really 100% confident in why you're here. It's a conversation that I have with my kiddos. I have 2 girls, just turned 17, just turned 15, both high-level volleyball players. We good? Okay. And so this is a constant conversation with both of them is why? Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you playing volleyball? Why are you going to school? What's the purpose of all of this? So, hit the other? All
right, I'll just do it. Sorry.
That's okay. No problem. We'll make it work. All right, so check this out. So I'm setting you up for what we're going to talk about today. So just watch Sarah Blakely for anybody that is wearing Spanx in here today.
Growing up, my father used to ask my brother and me what we had failed at the dinner table, which was so interesting, and he'd celebrate it, and he'd actually be disappointed if I didn't have something that I failed at that week. So I can remember saying, Dad, I tried out for this and I was horrible, and he would actually high-five me and say, congratulations, way to go. And what it did was just reframe my definition of failure. Failure for me became not trying versus the outcome. So many people don't take risks for fear of failure. They don't start the business, they don't go create the art they want to create, or they don't go try out to be in the play or whatever it is for the fear of failure. And once you redefine that for yourself and realize the failure is just not trying, then life opens up to you in many ways. And I would also, my dad would encourage me anytime something didn't go the way I expected it to, or maybe I got embarrassed by a situation, to write down where the hidden gifts were and what I got out of it. And I started realizing in everything there was some amazing nugget that I wouldn't have wanted to pass up. At Spanx, to encourage people to fail, I'm bringing up my failures in front of the team often. So I will stand up and I call them the oops of Spanx. Some of them are the oops throughout the history of Spanx. Some of them can be recent oops that I did, but I'm always openly talking about it. If you're gonna have a oops part of the beauty of it is twofold. If there's a failure quote or an oops in your life, if you learn from it and if you can laugh about it, then it's all worth it.
Yeah, how good is that? So we actually, about a year ago, when I saw this for the first time, we introduced this concept to our girls. They already knew about the concept of failing faster, failing more, failing faster, because you have to fail in order to grow, in order to succeed. But we introduced this concept that Sarah Blakely's father introduced to her about looking for opportunities to fail and just being okay with it. So my oldest daughter, she is a really good volleyball player. So she came home from practice one night. She was like, Dad, guess what? I was like, what, baby? She was like, I sucked tonight at practice. And I was like, okay, we gotta unpack this concept a little bit more. I don't want you to suck, but she started looking for ways to fail. And so in our businesses, and this is the thing that I think as real estate agents we have to consider. What's the number one driver of our business? Anyone? Leads, relationships. How do we create those relationships? Anyone? We talk to people, we have conversations. But how many of us are afraid to have conversations? When I say afraid, okay, so that's a strong word, but I'm gonna go with it. How many of us are afraid to consistently have those conversations with our friends and family and ask them for business or referrals? If we're being honest, we're in the trust tree together, by the way. But how many of us are consistently feel uncomfortable? How about that? Better word? Feel uncomfortable by show of hands. It should be everyone, because you're lying if you're not raising your consistently, not once a year, not twice a year. I'm talking often, because that's the key. Not being afraid to have those uncomfortable conversations, not being afraid. The most common response I get when coaching and mentoring agents is, Clayton, I don't want to reach out to my friends and family and ask them for business because I don't want them to what? Say no, or maybe worse, think what? What might they think of you? You're just asking them, you're constantly asking them for something, right? So it's getting over ourselves, it's getting past that. Maybe it's figuring out a system we're gonna talk about in just a few minutes. It's one of the 5 hacks, a system where you can give away something to get something in return. So we're gonna talk about that. All right. Who is afraid of heights? Show of hands. Again, we're in the trust tree. Really? Okay, so I see some head shaking, not afraid of heights at all. Good for you, man. So one more time, afraid of heights, just so I can see? Okay, so I'm gonna test this theory here. So I want you to picture the 2 tallest buildings in the world. I think they're in Dubai. I believe they're in Dubai now. So the 2 tallest buildings in the world, and let's say they're about a football field apart. Okay, football field, you got that? Football field, 100 yards. Now there's a plank going across 10 feet off the ground, okay? And it's about a foot and a half wide. So you have to like straddle this thing to get across, okay? 100 yards, 10 feet. If you fall, you might sprain an ankle, okay? Who's coming with me just for fun? Okay, just for fun. Yeah. Okay. Who's not coming? Like 10 feet is just, yeah, it's like, dude, like what, for nothing? What if I gave you $1,000? Wrote you a check for $1,000? No? No, not worth it. Okay. What if I wrote you a check for $10,000? Okay, there you go. Okay, maybe, it's worth it. All right, now watch this. Let's take that same plank and we're going up to the top. And up at the top, the wind is whipping. Okay, so you're literally, and you don't have, what's the thing called that, anybody know what the thing? A pole? I don't know. But you don't have that. And so you're up on the top of this thing, $10,000? 100 yards? Heck no. 100,000? Anyone? 100,000? Yes? Yeah, 100,000. You're risking your life for $100,000? That tells me a lot about you, sir. $1 million. I write you a check for $1 million. Who's risking their life for $1 million? Anybody else? Anybody else? All right, now watch this. Who has kids? Okay, good. Many of you. So your children, ladies, are in the other building, and the building is on fire, and you're the only one that can help them navigate from the top down. Who's coming with me? Every one of us, man. We're all going. We're all going. Why? Why? Because that why is so much stronger than $1 million, man. And that's it. Like if you wake up, guys, this is what we're going to talk about today. One of the biggest hacks. If you wake up every day with that kind of motivation, like I'm going to risk my life for this thing, you're unstoppable. You are unstoppable. Whatever you want to accomplish, you just go do. You go crush. Because most people aren't willing to do it. Most people are not willing to do what it takes to be successful in this business. That's a fact. Who's been doing this for more than 5 years? Okay, 10 years? 15? Yeah, dude, so you guys know what it takes. You've seen it. You've seen this. You've seen the successful people. You've seen the people that aren't willing to do the things that lead to the success. All right, so decision. The definition of decision has a Latin roots. The meaning of the word is to decide. It comes from the Latin word decidere, which is a combination of two words, de, which is off, and cedere, which means to cut. So we have a decision to make today. You're here for a reason, by the way. A lot of your colleagues didn't show up today because it was, we had about, 80 people registered? I don't know how many people we have here. We had a bunch of people here. But some people didn't show up because it's raining. Because it's wet, dude. It's just the way it is. But you guys showed up. So the decision to make it today is, when you're done with all of these presentations, people thought, like I didn't get paid to be here. I don't think did you pay anybody else to be here? Okay, nobody got paid to be here. We're just paid to pour into you. It's your decision what nugget you're gonna take away with for 2025 and go deploy, okay? So here we go. Thank you, Zach. So guys, if we don't know where we're going, man, we might just what? We might just get there. We might just end up there. So today is about creating that clear vision. If you haven't, who's done a business plan for 2025 already? Show of hands. Okay, if you haven't, how many days left in the year? 19 days left in the year. Guys, you got 19 days. If you don't know where you're going in 2025, personally, professionally, spiritually, physically, financially, with your businesses, then you might just get there. So tomorrow we've got an all-day, it's called a team advance. We've got an all-day off-site team advance where I take my team through all of this. It's called the 7 Fs. It's guys, where you want to be spiritually in the next 12 months. Specifically, define it. Start with the end in mind. Where do you want to be physically in the next 12 months? Specifically, define it. And how are we going to get there, right? Where do you want to be with your businesses in the next 12 months? And then you just work backwards. All right. So a few years ago, I wrote a check with my business partner. So combined, I wrote a check for $25,000. He wrote a check for $25,000. It was $50,000 to be in this mastermind for a year. And then we wrote the same check the following year. So 2 years we were hanging out with this guy. His name is Don Wenner. At the time, Don was 36 years old, and he was a billionaire. So he owned a capital company that managed, at the time, 55,000 units up and down the Sun Belt. It was about a $4.5 billion capital company, 36 years old. Really, really impressive young man. Father, husband, just great human. And I sat down with him, and he asked me this question. He said, Clayton, and my business partner was sitting there as well. He said, where do you guys want to be 100 years from now? So I think I was 45 at the time. So I was like, with Jesus? Like, I don't know. 100 years, I'll be 145. He said, no. What kind of an impact do you want to have on your children's children? You can go on and on and on. And it led us down this path of reading the Rockefeller Habits, of discovering the concept of infinite banking, if any of you are familiar with that, and just this whole idea of, again, starting with the end in mind. 100 years from now, what kind of a legacy do we want to leave? And when you start to think like that, what we do on a daily basis matters that much more. It's just your decisions just change when you're thinking that big. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so how do we get there? Go ahead, Zach, sorry. So the journey is actually the most exciting part. And that's the thing that I love about what I'm about to share with you is it's not necessarily the destination, it's what is it making of us along the way of going from where we are today to that really big, hairy, audacious goal, that BHAG, of like really going for it. That's the exciting part, is who are we becoming? Okay, so let's dive in. Let's jump in. So here they are. Next please, Zach. So who has read the book called The Miracle Morning? Show of hands. No one? Who? One Yes, you have. Started it. Okay, so guys, this process is what changed our lives. It's what changed our lives. Let me back up for just a second here. So my mother was kidnapped into this country when she was 7 years old. She was born in Quebec, Canada, and her father walked into her room, 7 years old, middle of the night, said, pack a bag, and that's it. That's all he told her. So she packed a bag. She's an obedient child. She packed a bag, and he stole her older brother, younger sister, middle of the night, drove them across the border into the U.S., into New York City, dropped them off at a boarding home, and left them there. Okay, all in the span of 24 hours. A few months later, he came back and picked them up, but my mom's childhood was spent being dropped off at random women's homes up and down the East Coast. One of those women was a good maternal relationship. The others were my mom needs to write a book. Just awful. Mom had a very, very, as did her brother and her younger sister, very, very hard childhood. I share that with you because, growing up in our household, my mom was working 7 days a week. We didn't have access to this information until much, much later in life. And I was introduced to this concept at a mastermind just like this. The keynote speaker was a guy named Hal Elrod. And when I understood the concept of taking control of my day with this process that the Miracle Morning that I'm about to take you through, it changed everything. It changed everything. And then my wife started going through it, and I watched her business explode. So here's the deal. You've got these things that Hal calls savers: silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. What if there was a process by which you could wake up every morning and all of that was done consistently every day, 7 days a week for the next 12 months? Do you think that you would be a different person in 365 days doing that every day? Guys, the answer is it's impossible not to be. You're just changed. So, go ahead, Zach. So silence. So this process, guys, when my wife and I started this process, we were not morning people. Who's a morning person? Yeah. Let's flush this out. 6 a.m. Earlier than 6 a.m. Yeah. Earlier than 5. Yeah. Is that 2 people? Okay. Can I ask why? By 12 o'clock, you're done with the most important stuff, right? Yeah, 4 o'clock in the morning? 4:30? May I ask why? Why is the house quiet? Because everyone else is asleep. Yeah. Moms and dads, what happens when the kids get up? It's game over. It's game over. So if you can get all of this done before the kids or whoever wakes up, guys, like this is game. I'm telling you right now, this could change everything. If you just did this, it could change it. First of all, read the book. You don't have to after this, but I would still read the book. So silence. So this is not about spending an hour in silence. This is about spending 5 minutes, man. Because most of us, what's the first thing we do? Most of us, what's the first thing that we do when we wake up in the morning?
Go to the bathroom.
Pee. Yeah. Check our phones, and then what happens? Guys, it's just we're living on someone else. God forbid you check your email, and then your day is just dealing with other people's problems instead of taking some time to deal with your stuff. So silence is 5 minutes of just. It's kind of peaceful. We don't do that. And it's so powerful. So those are some apps that my wife and I have used. Most of them are free to download. Next, please, Zach. Visualization. So one of the guys that did this at a really high level was a guy by the name of Michael Jordan. So Jordan, if you've seen the Netflix series, what's it called? The Last Dance. It's so good if you haven't seen that. And one of the things that Jordan would visualize, he would make up stories about opposing players on the other team to motivate, stories that were not true, like they were talking trash about him or what, but he would visualize this, and it would be real to him, so that he would show up and just be a beast. Like he'd be mad at this other player because he'd visualize, and it was what he used to play at another level, okay? But visualizing your success instead of waking up and you're right down the rabbit hole of social media in a world that, by the way, like I had to stop with X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, because it's just 24/7, like negative craziness. If we fall into that hole, instead of waking up every morning like, man, like I got this, like I'm gonna go crush this day, whatever that means for you, instead of the opposite, you've got a major head start over everybody else. Next, please, Zach. This one was weird for us. Has anybody ever like stood in the mirror and looked at yourself and said like, bro, I'm awesome? Has anybody done that? Huh? Yeah, dude, thank you. Yeah, it's actually, it's really weird, but I say this to my girls all the time. I'm like, girls, be weird, man. Be weird, be different. Why would I say that? Our kids are 17, I'm gonna brag on them. They're 17 and 15 years old. When I was 17, my wife and I talk about this all the time, man. When we were 17 and 15, we did not want to hang out with mom and dad. These girls want to hang out with, first of all, these girls get up every morning. My 15-year-old gets up every morning at 4:45. She sits on our little landing. She reads her Bible. She does this entire process. She journals. She's in the gym before her older sister gets up. We have a gym in the basement. And she does all of this before her friends are even out of bed, because mom and dad are doing it, right? So I accept myself for who I am and create peace, power, confidence of mind and heart. Dude, you're saying this to yourself every morning. At some point, you start to believe it. You start to believe that you are this amazing machine that can accomplish anything, instead of the stories that most of us tell ourselves over and over again, which is what? Typically. Maybe I'm the only one. Like, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not enough, I can't. Dude, just flip the script. It's just flipping the script. So next, watch this video. Watch how cool this is.
Look, I can be a shark. Now, my whole house is great. I can do anything good. I like my school, I like anything. I like my dad, I like my cousins. I like my aunts. I like my outfits. I like my mom. I like my sisters. I like my dad. I like Anna. I like my hair. I like my haircuts. I like my pajamas. I like my stuff. I like my room. I like my whole house. My whole house is great. I can do anything good. Yeah. I can do anything good. Better than anyone.
Like, let's go, right? I mean, imagine every morning, just like a small version of that. Like, that girl is ready to go. She's going to be president one day. Like, let's go. Like, what if you just took a slice of that every morning, and I like my whole house? Like, how cute is that? Love it. All right. Again, this is one of those things that this for me is the mindset piece. You know, we're in a stressful business. You know, some of us are going 7 days a week, dealing with client issues. This could be yoga, stretching. It could be walking. It could be getting in the gym. But I'm just telling you, the consistency of exercise, the natural endorphins flowing through your body, for those of you that do this consistently, it's a game changer. It's a mindset thing. The better you feel about yourself, the more consistent you will be with the activities that lead to the results in this business. If you have low energy, it's just hard to show up every day, is it not? It's just hard to show up consistently every day for our clients, for our family, for our friends, for our babies. So this is a piece of the puzzle. What happened? Thank you, Zach. This is the biggest one. This is the biggest one. Rarely does a good idea interrupt us. So you've got, for, $20, $30, $40, you have someone's life work that is in about a week, depending on how fast of a reader you are, in about a week or two, you could download that entire, if you listen to Audible, you can speed it up. You can download their entire playbook every morning for 30 minutes. And so there's the math. You read 10 pages a day, it's 3,650 pages a year. Average book is 300 pages long. 3,650 divided by 300 is 12 books per year. My daughter, my 15-year-old, will read about 30 books this year. And guys, I'm talking about Think and Grow Rich, like the Total Money Makeover for kids. Like, she's reading stuff because we introduced her to it. So it just makes her dangerous at a young age, right? And it makes us dangerous when we have this knowledge that we can apply to our businesses. This piece right here, you hang out with really successful people long enough, and they will tell, most of them are readers, okay? And lastly, and this is one I'll be honest, I'm not great about this. Who journals in here? Anybody journal in here? You've just been doing it, it's a habit? Yeah. That's great. So you got ahead. I've just never been a he calls it scribing. I've just never been a journaler. So if you do this already, great. But it's just, what were my wins yesterday, right? What did Sarah Blakely say? Where did I fall short? And what did I learn from that? You put all of these savers together, and again, 7 days a week, it could be 5-minute blocks. It doesn't have to be 2-3 hours. We do all of this in about 2.5 hours, which is why we get up so early. Before the kids get up, right, in most households, not ours, but in most households, before it gets loud. You're dangerous. You're dangerous. So if you do nothing else, go read the book, and Julie, apply it. Apply it. And for some of us, it's going to bed earlier. We are, I shouldn't say we, because my wife is not like me, but I'm in bed at 8:30 every night. Because I get up so early. By 9, I'm like drooling, I'm done. So I can't, date night I'm not staying out till 10, 11 o'clock at night, and my wife just knows that. So for some of us, we're gonna have to shift the way. You may not need as much sleep as I do. If I don't get 8 hours, I'm a little bit of a grumpopotamus, but maybe that's not you guys. Guys, we can have more than we've got because we can become more than we are. That is an old quote, and I live by it. This is a constant personal and professional development. Next, please. So that leads us to number 2. I just hired a new business coach, and he's $2,500 per 20-minute phone call. So I have 2 calls per month, so it's $5,000 per month, 20 minutes of his time, but this guy is the number one, he is the number one recruiting coach and team building coach in the country. So there's no close second. His name is John Cheplack. And he is in a room with he's in a room with Tony Robbins, Dean Graziano, who runs Tony's companies now, the president of Nordstrom, a big R&B guy, Brendan Burchard, if you guys follow Brendan. He wrote a check for $250,000 to spend six months in a room with these guys, talking about recruiting, talking about team building, talking about writing better copy. So here's the point. Proximity matters. And this is another one of my hacks, my secrets. From early on in my career, I learned to get in rooms like this and to be mentored by men and women and writing the check if I had to, early on, to be around men and women that were where I wanted to be. And you're either grabbing on those coattails or you're being mentored directly, or we get intimidated and we're like, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that. So I wrote some copy the other day that I posted to social, and it was, when we stop growing, we become critical of those that are. And I stole that from somebody else, but I thought that was so true. When we stop growing, we become critical of those that are. So I want to be in the group of people that are growing. I want to be around the men and women that are like, dude, you can do anything. Like Clayton, like 2025 is your year. Like go crush. And this is how you do it. Because we're doing it. And then you just R&D it. You just rip it off and duplicate it. Okay, so if you want to get in better shape in 2025, what do? You don't just get a gym membership. This is where I tell you just got to be a little radical. You write a check, you commit to writing a check for a personal trainer that's for $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month. The reason I'm paying $2,500 a month or $2,500 for 20 minutes of this guy's time is because that was enough money for me to get into action. Like I'm just not going to write a check for $2,500 and just burn it. Does that make sense? So having a personal trainer that's it's like, what is it going to take for you to show up at 6 o'clock in the morning 3 days a week? To get out of bed, out of your warm, cozy bed, get in your gym clothes, in the car, drive to the gym, to have somebody beat you up for an hour 3 days a week. What's it going to take for you to do that? If that's important to you in 2025, then go do that. If you want to get your spiritual life in order in 2025, what do? You just go spend time with men and women that are dialed in there. I go hang out with Cody. You just go seriously. Like you go spend time with men and women that are dialed in there. So again, something we tell our daughters all the time, it's like, show me your friends and I'll show you what? I'll show you who you are. I'll show you your future. I love that. I'll show you who you are. We are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most amount of time with. That's who we are. So we're just very selective about the relationships, the people that we spend time with. Very selective. Haven't always been. My best man didn't show up to my wedding. You want to know why? Because we gave him $400 cash to go buy the rest of the alcohol. This is a long time ago, so let me preface this. $400 cash to go buy the rest of the alcohol for our wedding. He bought $400 worth of cocaine. He locked himself into a hotel room and almost OD'd. And thus began the spot, the end of his marriage, the end he lost his job. He lost everything. Living on the streets. But that was my best man. If that tells you anything about my past, we're the average of the 5 people that we spend the most. We are so serious about who we spend time with. Okay, moving on. This is hard for me. Who has a hard time saying no? Am I the only one? Yes, I mean, we're in the trust tree, okay? Yeah, some of you are lying. So this is something that I've had to, just because at some point in life, saying yes doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't. Because if you're saying yes to everybody, you're saying no to somebody. And typically it's family or my girls. So what Warren Buffett said is, man, you got to say no more in 2025. Just learn to say no. Learn to say no. Like this event, it was because it was Julie and Zach. Like I say no to a lot of these now. Because my girls play they're full-time travel volleyball, and I won't miss. I won't miss. I had a guy yesterday that on a 3-way text, he said, he took the lead and said, hey, if you can't do a call with Clayton, if between the hours of 9 and 5 don't work, we'll do it after hours. And then he took the lead and said, how about 8 o'clock on Thursday night? Without even talking to me. So I immediately jumped in and said, yeah, that's not going to work for me. That's family time, dude. It's not going to work for me. And I still had a little bit of that, right? This is one of my business partners. I had a little bit of the anxiety. But my being present with my babies, it's just more important. It's just more important. Say no more in 2025. That's a hack. Right? That's also the problem with waking up and first thing we do every morning is, what if you had an old school alarm clock? Like, be weird, man. Be radical. What if you had an old school alarm clock and your iPhone was downstairs on your desk? Like out of reach. Far enough out of reach where you're not gonna climb out of bed to go get it. But you got the old school alarm clock, preferably one that doesn't have snooze, that's really annoying and loud and is gonna get your butt out of bed, right? Be weird. If you don't prioritize your life, somebody else will. Okay, so tomorrow we're doing a full day, we call it a team advance, so all 30 of my real estate agents, my property management company, our investing company, everybody in all of our companies, we're sitting down and we're doing, anybody read the book, The One Thing? Yeah, really, really good book, really good book. So the focusing question with The One Thing, this is another hack, is what is the one thing that we can all do professionally in 2025 that if so by doing, everything else becomes easier or just unnecessary? Guys, I battle with this question, man. I'm constantly asking myself, like, what's the lever I can pull in my businesses that if so by pulling, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? And it's unique to all of us. So I'll give you a tip on, or some insight into our world today. It's changed. So my business coach, my number one objective every day is to write copy. And it's changed from lead generating by literally picking up the phone, writing the notes, face-to-face interactions, to today, it's writing better copy and posting to, or having someone post to my social to attract a bigger audience to our businesses. Okay, so the strategy is going to change. It's unique to all of us. Next, please. So this was my life. That was my life for 6 or 7 years. Okay, that was my schedule. And if you're agents, if you any team leaders in here, or if broker owners, you have agents that work with you or under your, yeah. So if you can commit to this schedule right here, and the last hack that I'm going to share with you today, this makes you unstoppable. I don't care if you're not good on the phone. I don't care if you're not good face to face, because eventually you will be. Now, people talk about scripting and role playing, and I'm a firm believer in that, but I did all of my role playing live. I just started calling people. But I did it 5 days a week for 3 hours a day, and I did that for 6 years, and we grew a small empire, a small real estate empire doing this, because we were cultivating massive amounts of relationships. When you're talking to 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 people per day, over time, it just becomes impossible for people not to be doing business with you. And by the way, what I tell my people that I mentor and coach is, look, I don't care what you do in the afternoon, but I know what you're going to be doing in the afternoon. If you're doing that morning time consistently, your afternoon's going to be filled up with appointments. Everything else takes care of itself. If you're consistently, whatever lead generation, by the way, looks like for you. So I know some of you, inevitably in a room of this size, your lead generation is going to be social media, because we live in that age. But for others, you're really good relationship builders, where how are you consistently getting in front of your people if you want to grow your business? Now, there might be somebody in this room that's like, Clayton, this is great, but I'm comfortable where I am. Good, that's totally fine. I'm talking to everybody else that wants to grow in 2025 and beyond. That's the key, man. All the masterminds, all the people that have been coached by, the agents that are selling 4, 5, 6, 700 homes a year, their teams, this is what they do, and it's what they teach. So why aren't we doing it? And I just was fortunate enough to get in a room early on with somebody that taught this. And I said, okay, I'm just going to go do it. Okay? So this dude, this guy, somebody that I was fortunate enough to mentor, his name is Matthew Kane. He's in Wilmington, North Carolina. So 5 years ago, he moved to Wilmington to take a firefighting job. He's a new dad. He's a husband. So he takes this firefighting job, and for those of you that don't know this, firefighters don't make a lot of money, right? They don't make enough money, in my opinion. So he takes this job, and he gets his real estate license on the side just to have some additional income to support his family. So his first full year in Wilmington with selling real estate on the side, he sold 40 houses, didn't know a soul in that community. We started mentoring him. He went from 40 houses his first year to 100 houses his second year, and then we had a conversation. We sat down and he said, Clayton, I can't keep up at this pace. My wife, it's like, I'm working 7 days a week. It's creating some relationship issues. I'm not spending any time with my kiddos. I'm not present with my kiddos. I'm at the games. The phone is ringing. All the things that we all deal with. And we told him, we said, you have to make a choice. Go be a firefighter full-time or go be a realtor full-time. You can't do both. It's the one thing, man. You can't do both. Not successfully. And have a life. So he cut the cord, and he loved being a firefighter. Former Marine Scout sniper. He loves to serve in that way. So he cut the cord, and he goes from 40 to 100 to 200 to 250 homes in 2023 to close to 300 homes this year. He hasn't sold a house all year, and he'll flip and wholesale about 40 to 45 properties, well into 7 figures in both of those businesses, and he's got his time back. He's got his time back. So watch this. Go ahead. So what he did, and I actually teach this today, what he did, he kind of created this. It's a version of my schedule that I just shared with you. But this is what he did. He knew that in his market were a couple of different types of realtors. You've got realtor comfortable, realtor excuses, realtor slack, and realtor Karen. Okay, so a couple different types of profiles there. Next slide. So he sat down, he developed this program where he sat down every single day and just, again, like this guy is a former Marine Scout sniper. He's a beast. So he sat down every day and he started doing what nobody else in his market was willing to do. I'm going to show you his strategy, but all of a sudden he went from having a very small percentage of market share in his marketplace to 33%, because he was taking market share from Karen, slack, excuses, and comfortable, because they just weren't doing the things. So eventually somebody's going to take your client. They're going to take your client, because you're non-existent in the reticular activator it's not activated because we're not talking to them enough. And they're going to go talk to somebody that appears to at least be serious about the business. That's a fact. If it hasn't happened to you, it will. How many people have ever been in the puking corner at like a Christmas party? What's the puking party or the puking corner? Anybody know what the puking corner is? No? So I've been, you go to a Christmas party, and Beth walks up to you and she's like, "Oh my God, Clayton, it's so good to see you. You'll never guess." And it's like, what, Beth? I bought a house. A big house. We bought our dream house. Right? Because Beth was mine. Beth was my girl. My girl. What happened, Beth? You never called me. Are you even still in the business? Right? If it hasn't happened, it's going to happen next. So there you go. Right? So he just crushes. He just crushes in a market that he didn't know anybody and nobody knew him. Next. So here's the process. If we do what's easy, our life is going to be hard. If we do what's hard, your life is going to be easy. And guys, what's hard? Man, we live in America. Truly, what's hard in this country is doing what, my team hates it when I say this, but is it really hard, what we're doing? Is it really? Or is living in Afghanistan, or pick the country, man, is that hard? Getting up every day and trying to figure out what our kids are going to eat, right? If it's a little bit of perspective. It's not what we do each and every day. We get paid a lot of money to have conversations at a really high level with our clients. We get paid a lot of money to do this back and forth at a high level. Do we work a lot, some of us? Yes. But do most of us go home every night with heat and running water and plumbing? Yes. Next, please. Thank you, Zach. So here it is. You got to generate. You got to make first contact. You got to build a relationship. You got to convert to the client. You got to close, and you got to repeat. So I'm going to walk you through his system, and hopefully you can take this into 2025 and apply it to your business. Next, please. So know your script for every lead source. So how many of you work with Dave Ramsey? You're an ELP. Yep. Okay. So knowing your script for every lead source looks like this. How about Zillow? Anybody Zillow or Realtor.com or any third-party lead sources at all? Knowing your script for every lead source looks like this. Hi, this is Clayton Gits with Realtor.com. How can I help you? Hi, this is Clayton. I'm one of Dave Ramsey's preferred ELPs. It's not, hi, this is Clayton Gits with Mission Realty. It's, hi, this is Clayton Gits. I'm one of Dave Ramsey's preferred ELPs here in your market. How can I help you? So you basically become the company guy or company gal for that lead source. Make sense? Okay. So, and he just signed up for all the lead sources in his market to begin. Call within 5 minutes. Every lead, if you guys are generating leads, many of you may be by referral, totally fine. But if you're generating leads, why is it important to call them within 5 minutes or less? Say again? They're ready to have a conversation. They're ready to have a conversation, and just think about how we act. So when you want to get in touch with somebody and they don't respond, what do? We immediately go to the next person. Like if I'm looking for a service provider and that person doesn't answer, maybe it's just my personality, but I'll go to the next person. So we know from research and data that if we do not respond within the first 5 minutes, the odds of connecting at all are reduced dramatically. If you can catch them immediately while they're on your website, way up. So it's having a system to be able to do that. So this is what Matt developed. This is his system. If they don't answer, he hangs up and he calls again immediately. Why would he do that? Because they're likely to answer the second time. They might think it's important. If I get a call 2 or 3 times, I'm like, man, maybe this is my wife calling maybe she's in trouble. It's how our psychology works, right? So they're more likely to answer. If they don't answer that time, he hangs up again. He sends a text introduction, and this is the piece that I think a lot of people miss. A text introduction and he includes a video and a link to all of his reviews. Now, personalizing that video is the best thing to do, because if somebody can see your personality, and first of all, nobody else is doing it. Nobody else is sending that text introduction. So if you can do it and they see your personality, they see that you're not a creep, right? You're a normal person, you've got a huge advantage over everybody else. And then you immediately, it doesn't matter if you connect with them or not, he sets everybody up on a search alert through his CRM. Everybody gets a search alert, every single lead. And so he's got people texting him now that he's never talked to, but he's constantly leaving messages, right? Because it's part of his daily routine, which I'll show you. And they're reaching out saying, hey, can you change my search criteria? Or my search criteria has changed, can you update it for me? Okay? It doesn't matter if you don't know what they're looking for, you touch them anyway. Auto action plans take over. Most CRMs have this stuff pre-built. He's taken a little bit of time to customize it, unique to Dave Ramsey or Realtor.com or whatever the lead source is, sphere of influence. Every single lead, here is the game changer. Please hear this. Whether you're working by referral or you're working with a big database, we have 90,000 leads in our database today. We've been doing this for 19 years. So we have a lot of leads. So every single lead you are working with must have a task assigned. Next, please. So picture this. What CRMs are you guys using? Follow Up Boss. What CRMs are popular up here? What's that? Lofty. What else? What's that? Follow Up Boss. Yeah, a lot of Follow Up Boss. Who doesn't have a CRM? It's okay. Okay. So I just want to encourage you, if you don't have a CRM, as your business grows, it's really easy to forget about people if something's not reminding you constantly. So what he does is his CRM is Sierra Interactive. So he pulls up his Sierra site because he's consistent and every single lead gets a to-do. Every task gets a task. Every call gets a follow-up call. Every text gets a follow-up text. Every email gets an email. Every to-do gets another to-do until that person is ready to buy or sell. So when he pulls up his CRM, he's got 50 to-dos. Tasks, follow-ups, texts, emails, calls. He pulls up every single tab, so he's got 30 to 50 tabs on his desktop. And he works from right to left. And he does the task, the follow-up, he sets another one, X is out. Boom, 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 boom. That's his system. And this guy crushes very few people go into a market they've never been in and do what he's done. Some do, but they just go really big, really fast. If you do a small percentage of this, you will crush. How many of you are in this market? Yeah. How many of you are doing this? Sort of. Okay, you'll crush everybody because yours is the only hand that went up. Like if you consistently do, you will destroy everybody in this room. Anybody that's willing to consistently do this for the next 12 months, nobody in here can compete with you because only a handful of you will do any version of this. It's just a reality, and it's okay. It's your business. It's your future. Be obsessed with your A clients. Back for 1 second. Be obsessed with your A clients. So what he does is, if you guys know how to grab a contact and pull it up to the top, those are all of his A clients. So he just wants to make sure that he's touching his A clients every single day. This is his system. You can tweak this any way you want to, but those are all of his A, it's not his family, those are his A clients. So that he can contact them like, hey, I found a property, have you found anything you want to see, anything you want to look at, or if it's a seller client, hey, are you ready to rock and roll, right? So he's doing a lot of texting. Next, please. Next. All right, pause for just 1 second. So let me say this. Getting into this business in 2005, I was broke. My wife and I were $600,000 in debt, including our mortgages. Did you know that mortgage is debt? Yeah. We didn't realize that. Did you know that student loans were debt? Car payments? Credit cards? Yeah, we had all of those. So $600,000 in debt in 2005. And so I was broke financially. I was broken spiritually. I was broken physically. You guys know a little bit about my background. But I was a mess. I was a mess. And I started down this process. Like the main thing I'm going to talk about with my team tomorrow as I take them through this one thing, goal-setting, retreat, which is like 90 pages. And it's just going really deep, man, like really deep on where they want to be in all the areas that really matter, by the way, which is spiritually, physically, financially, relationally, all the areas that really matter. And when you go deep in those ways, you start to become a more attractive person. Not physically, well, sort of, but it's not about that. It's about becoming a more attractive person to the marketplace, and just more people are going to want to be in your circle because you're going for it. And so few of us do. When you go for it, you become a more attractive person to the people that want to go for it. To people that are comfortable and that are done growing, then be prepared to get some criticism. That's how you know you're winning, by the way. Because all of us in this room are good people, I'm assuming. That's just an assumption. That's a given, right? We're all good people. So you're doing things. You're doing this for the right reason. You're doing things the right way. So if you're getting criticized, you're being criticized by people for reaching, for growing, because they don't like that, because they're just too comfortable. I hate that word. So when you go for it, back up one more for me. When you go for it, it puts you in position to be able to do things for people that I never imagined. Sorry if I'm messing you up, Zach. I never imagined, that's my hero, that's my mama, I never imagined the horror that she went through as a child and then raising three of us by herself on $18,000, $19,000 a year and just sacrificing everything so that we had a little bit, And so because I decided to go for it and continue to just go for it, to stretch and to grow, and by the way, make mistakes and fail every single day, we get to do cool stuff like this.
Wait, Mom.
I'm not sure why.
It's pretty.
Thank you, honey. So sweet.
What were we talking about last week?
I'm not sure. I made something up. Oh, that's so sweet, honey. Thank you.
Turn the page.
What's that? What is that? No.
Isn't that what you owe on your mortgage?
No, yeah, but I can't do that.
Yeah, it's done.
I can't do that.
It's done.
But thank you.
I tried to pay it off. It's already done.
No.
The bank wouldn't let me. It's
I
already done.
know. No.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's done.
No.
Yes.
It's done. Read the memo line and
I'm
check.
tired right now. I don't want you doing that.
Read the memo line and check.
You're gonna make him cry.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So listen. The only thing I ask is that has to go. You gotta pay the house off. So listen, you have to hear this.
Okay.
So I walk into Wells Fargo, and they were crazy busy. And this woman, she's probably in her 50s. She walks up to me and she said, "I'm so sorry for the wait. It's just been a really rough day." I said, "No problem." And she said, "How can I help you?" And I said, "I don't know where my mom banks." I said, "But if she banks here, can I pay off her house?" And she said, "Are you on the loan?" I said, "No." She said, "Then you can't." She said, "You can't pay off her house if you're not on the loan." And then she started crying. And I said, what's wrong? She said, it's been a really rough day, and I needed this. She said, I needed this today. And she said, you can do a cashier's check. And I said, let's do that. And she said, what would you like to put in the memo line? And I said, now you can retire. And she lost it. She lost it. And I said, I'm so sorry I made you cry. And she said, your mom obviously she raised such a good boy. I said, no. I said, you don't even know what my mom went through to make sure that we wouldn't be here.
It's my sister. She said he'll pay yours off next. So at some point, we're gonna go to her grave. We're gonna go to her grave, right? And I'm gonna have the privilege of looking down and saying to my kids and my grandkids, she was the one. She was the one, man. A friend of mine wrote a book last year called Be the One, and it's this concept that like why not you? Like, why not now? Why not go for it? So that future generations, at some point, they're gonna say, she was the one. That changed everything for our family and for future generations, or he was the one that went for it and told us it was okay to go for it and changed everything for our legacy. So go be the one. You guys are amazing. Thank you.